G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Ask Jack D. In today's episode I reflect on how I have failed, when I have failed, how I failed for far too long at far too many things, and how I move through and work with failure.
28 and I'm trying to shape history, pulling from the sky for some strength to take with me, line up the stars, fly away quickly and push the world forward like a tidal wave hit me. I ride the wave swiftly, I fear no man, check my titles mate quickly, came from the sky with the light of day in me and grew my own wings.
Guys, welcome to episode 170. Wow, did you know it was 170? 170 is a lot of episodes.
I know, we're almost at 200.
We're 30 away from 200. We need to do something cool for 200.
Yeah, I know, I was thinking about that the other day.
Maybe that can be one thing we get your help on, guys. Anybody watching this, what should we do for episode 200? In the comments below, let us know what you would like to do. We could do something live at our Entrepreneur Development Centre. We can fit sort of 300 people in there. We could do a live Ask Jack D. We could do anything. I want weird, wonderful, wacky ideas from you guys, the people that have enabled this show to continue for so long. And the reason why we've done 170 episodes, 170 episodes is a lot.
I know.
So, thank you, Rosie, and thank you, people, for watching. Let us know, what do you want done for the 200th episode in the comments below. It's been one of those days. Okay, by the way, we're pre-recording this episode because I am in Adelaide as we speak, whereas right now we are in the cave down at my place in Mossman because we're filming a whole bunch of other stuff upstairs. Rosie, what's today's question?
Okay, so we've got two questions. They came in the other night from Thomas Clift. Hey Jack, good post. I was wondering what strategies you might use to recognise and review your failures so you can ultimately grow from them. Hashtag AskJackD. And then we have another one from Rogue Londong. What exactly have you failed at, if you care to share, and do you spend time analysing?
Very good question. Let's start with the first one, right? What have I failed at? You know, if I go back to when I started my first business, I was 18, I knew nothing about business, I knew nothing about life, I was emotionally illiterate, I was spiritually vacant. And so, you know, I started my first business. It was a business-to-business call centre down in Melbourne, in South Yarra, for anybody who lives in Melbourne. And I just made every mistake in the book, right? From not really understanding fully how to achieve product to market fit, or in our instance, we're a business-to-business outsourced call center, so it's really service to market fit. Not really understanding how to do that, not really having any appreciation for consumer and client. And, you know, like today I obsess over consumer in the world of the Entourage, our students, in the realm of Ask Jack D, you guys, right? I'm obsessing about consumer. I'm always obsessing about how to meet the values and the wants and the desires of consumer in any business. So I had no even awareness, let alone competence around any of that. I had zero competence around financial management, sales, marketing. Let's just say everything. I was really bad at everything. But here's the thing, guys, and particularly this is like 11 years ago, I was 18. Fucking hell, that went fast. 11 years ago, I was 18. And you know, today places like the Entourage and some other institutions exist where education is done relatively well for entrepreneurs. At the Entourage, I think education is done incredibly well for entrepreneurs. Back then it wasn't, right? The Entourage didn't exist. So there was no other way to learn other than to do. Well, that's the other thing I didn't do back then, is I didn't seek out mentors with been there, done that experience. Of course, you don't need an institution or an education business to do that. You just seek out people that are great. And I didn't even understand the value of that yet when I started, right? And so it was all done through trial and error. I didn't understand how to manage people. I didn't understand how to lead people. I didn't know what vision was. I didn't know what values were, right? So like this whole world of business, I knew a lot around sort of human psychology, like the textbook stuff, because I'd studied it for so long. I'd studied a lot of the greats of history, so I knew a little bit about impact and contribution, legacy, movements, you know, that sort of stuff, revolutions, that sort of stuff. However, in practice, I was still very naive in both business and in life, right? And that's the point. I think you need to give yourself grace early on to recognize that in order to become great at anything, you need to go through a whole bunch of destinations to get to great, right? The first one is I fucking suck at this. The second one is I really suck at this. The next one is I suck a little bit less, but I still suck at this. The next one is I'm not that bad anymore. The next one is I can kind of do this, but I'm in conscious competence. I'm really trying. The next one is I'm a little bit better, and I get to a place of good, and then I stay with good, and through experience over 2, 3, 5, 8, 10 years, you then get to great, right? But you can't get to great without going past every little milestone on the journey toward great. One of my favorite posters of all time starts with "There's a gap," and it talks about there's a gap between who you are today and who you want to be. There's a gap between how big you want your business to be and how big it is today. There's a gap between how intelligent or experienced or informed you are today and where you want to be, right? There's a gap, and for a lot of people that gap serves to discourage them. They never get out of bed, they never move toward what it is they want in life because the gap is so daunting. For entrepreneurs, that gap should only serve to fuel you. The tension between where you want to be and where you are today should fuel you to get out of bed quickly, right? And start working and start networking and start speaking and start exploring yourself and start researching, right? That's what that gap should do. And recognize that to get to great, you're going to have to go through I suck, and that means you're going to make a lot of mistakes. If you want to become successful twice as fast, double the amount of mistakes you're making, right? Particularly early on in the journey, give yourself grace around a lot of that. The first question was around, what was the first question around?
First question was around...
Oh, what do I do when I fail? Okay, so yes, I do reflect. So part of the question was, do you analyze? I don't analyze failures, I reflect on failures. And that might sound like a very subtle difference. However, the difference for me is in this. Analyzing is going through every minute detail and almost has an association of I'm beating myself up over it, right? Whereas reflecting, you're reflecting without judgment. It's all great. You've made peace with it. And you're just moving through it once more to ensure that you've picked up all of the wisdom you could along the way. So number one is reflect on it, like journal or just think through it or chat about it with a great friend who's also coming from a position of non-judgment. The second thing is take full responsibility for everything in your life. I have a view, and that is that everything is my responsibility, nothing's my fault. So even if something has gone wrong in my world or in one of my businesses, and the average entrepreneur would go, well, that was his fault, or he wasn't good enough, or she didn't do well enough, I don't point the finger. I'll have the discussion with them, because to not would be robbing them of the opportunity to grow. So I'll still have a developmental discussion with the individual involved. However, when I start and when I finish with myself is I go, what did I do or what did I not do as a leader to enable that person to do or not do what they just did, which caused the stuff up, right? So it doesn't matter who does what, it all comes back. If you're the founder, if you're the CEO, if you're the leader of your organization, everything comes back to you. And guess what? You're all the CEO of your life, right? You're all the CEO of you incorporated. So if it's in life, everything comes back to you. If it's in business, you own the business, everything comes back to you, right? And so take full responsibility. We're not coming from a place of blame. We're not coming from a place of beating ourselves up, because we're giving ourselves grace. We're recognizing failure and mistakes are an inevitable stepping stone towards success. We're just ensuring that we take responsibility for it, right? And so if we reflect on it, we take responsibility. Ultimately, then what we can do is take a different view in terms of what we would do differently next time. Right? That's all I give a fuck about. When I reflect over anything, I don't care about the past. I only care about the foundation it has given me to see further into the future. Meaning, I honestly, like if something happened 5 minutes ago that was really bad, I would probably be emotionally unattached to it already. I'd simply be going, where's the lessons, where's the wisdom, how do we take that, how do we roll forward with that, right? So guys, from this show, take that I've failed at everything more times than I'd like to imagine. In fact, I think I'm still relatively traumatized from probably my first 6 years in business. But give yourself grace around that. Give yourself grace that you will make mistakes. Reflect on it, take responsibility, and ultimately ask yourself, how do I do things differently and better in future to ensure that we don't make the same mistake twice, right? In the comments below, what I want to ask you guys is this. What is your biggest failure? And I'm asking you guys to show up here. What is your biggest failure in life or business, whatever's bigger, your biggest failure, and who did it enable you to become? What's your biggest failure? And who did it enable you to become? In the comments below, I'll be there. Let's have that chat.
So what that means right now is my head's in the cloud.